Yeah, so do it so I don't have to.
He's saying that's the nice thing, but I don't know if he's closed the loan with them. They closed the loan on my house. It's nicer than them snacks, I'll guarantee you that.
Oh, nice. There you go, man.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Good job.
Great.
Thank you
Thanks
for that.
again.
Thank you. So, today we have a special guest teacher today that has got, 23 years in the business. The guy keeps getting smarter and smarter and smarter. That's why I attach myself to his hip so that I can become smarter. So, with that being said, Mr. Russ Orchard, let's just welcome him here. Take it away, Russ.
Save some for the end.
Yeah.
I thought it was someone else.
I know we're looking
Yeah,
for
Everyone's like, wow, who's connected to be? That's exciting.
Yeah.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about Zap today. What I was asked to do is to spend some time showing you how to use Zap with your SOI. So I did this yesterday in Orem, and I'm a little nervous. Not really, but I'm a little nervous that because down there I was like, so give me an idea where you guys are at with Zap. And ultimately it felt more like they wanted just the basics of Zap. So give me a feel for where you're at in this, because I'm hoping, so maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'm hoping that we're going to spend most of the time just teaching you how to use it with your SOI, not necessarily how do I get my account set up.
So I'm using Zap and I'm calling my SOI. After a phone call, I put notes in. Where can I see those notes after I put them in?
Oh, you can't. I'm just kidding.
No, that's the way it appears. I can't see
Yes, you
them.
can. Okay. So,
Pretty good.
okay, good. We'll talk about that today. So, what
And
other?
the other thing is
Yeah.
that when I put them in, I also put their address in. The only thing it shows me is the city. The street address is gone.
So when you put it where?
In Zap.
Oh, where in the right spot where you're supposed to put
Oh,
the address?
yeah.
Okay. All right, we may have to take a look at yours and see this.
What's going on?
Yeah, because I'll show you. You should be able to see those on there. So.
Okay.
All right. What else? What kind of give me an idea where everyone else is at, Wayne?
Is there a way to have clients that are coming from different sources? Is there a way to differentiate?
Okay, good.
Find what that word. To divide up between where the sources that
Yep.
source that you contact.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and that's one of the things we will talk about as well.
Is there a way once they're already in to put everybody in the same category or? Okay.
Yes. Yep, I'll show you how to do that. Anything else specific that you want to learn?
Never used it.
Okay. Good.
I
All right.
tried.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do then. So I'm going to give a very brief of how to get your account set up, but we're going to spend most of the time diving into how I think you should be using it with your sphere of influence to generate money for you from this, okay? So I'm going to start then with this. So let's just, in order to access Zap, in fact, actually, let me even back up further than that. Let me give you the background of Zap real quick. So Realogy, who owns Century 21, went and bought Zap a number of years ago. They paid $167 million to purchase the Zap system. What they did is they actually went and bought ZipRealty.com, which some of you may remember ZipRealty, which was just a bunch of guys that decided, hey, let's put together a website and see if we can generate internet leads for it, which they did. They did a good enough job. They started to build brokerages across the country. The problem was they weren't real estate guys, and so they didn't really know how to convert those leads into anything, and so they didn't do as well. Meaning they didn't do as well as they thought they were going to, but I guess they did well enough that Realogy bought them for $167 million. So for whatever, I guess that's successful. I don't know.
Unintended consequences.
Yeah, I mean,
That's quite successful.
you might be able to live off that for a short time, but anyway. The main reason though that Realogy went and bought it was because of the Zap system, okay? So that's what I'm going to show you and why to me I think it's very powerful. Now, I'm going to also share with you an idea with this that about 20 years ago I was sitting in a sales meeting in my office and we had a salesperson for Top Producer there that was, because back then you would buy the software program and you would load it onto your computer. Nobody had websites and stuff at that point. And this guy was trying to sell it, but at our office he said, you know, I travel around the country and I'm in many different offices, sales meetings, and while I'm in there I hear people talk about different marketing ideas and things like that. He said, I'm going to give you what I think is the very best way to market to your sphere of influence, and none of you are going to do it. Well, when I heard that, I said, I don't care what it is that he says next, I'm doing it. If this guy travels the country and has got the best idea. He then laid out what that idea was, and I did what he recommended, and I will tell you, it was the best idea of what you could ever do with your sphere of influence. Now, the good news is, there's good news, bad news to that. I paid my assistant 40 hours of every month, so the first solid week of the month that she worked, she would put together this marketing idea. Now, I would not recommend that you do that today, even though I think it is probably a little bit better than this, but if you weigh what you would pay to get somebody to do it, or your time to do it, versus what Zap will just do automatically for you, I would do this. So knowing what I know today, this is how I would go about doing it. And I will tell you, I think it's the best thing you could do in terms of marketing to your SOI, and it will pay off big for you with your SOI. So with that, let's jump into it. Okay? So the thing that Realogy was really paying these guys for and buying this for $167 million was the Zap system, and specifically this Zap score, which I'll come back to and talk a little bit about. I first do want to give you just a brief overview for you guys that know zero about Zap of how to get your account set up and things. Will you shut the light off? It might be a little easier to, is that a little better? All right. So what you're going to do in order to get your account set up is you're going to click up here where your name or your, do I need to even tell you how to get logged into it? Should I back up to there? Okay. All right, there's two different ways you can go about it, but really skip the first one that I'm going to tell you. The first way you can do it is go to 21 Online, log into 21 Online, you'll find Zap, and then you can click that to log into Zap. When you click log into Zap, it's going to take you to this page here, which is new.myzap.com. So rather than log into 21 Online, just skip that, and where you want to go is to new.myzap.com. When you get there, it'll ask for your username and password. It is exactly the same username and password as 21 Online. So as long as you know your 21 Online username and password, you can get into this. If you ever change the password in 21 Online, it automatically changes it here as well. So you don't have to remember different logins. It's just always going to be the same as your 21 Online. Just faster, you remove a step by just going to new.myzap.com. All right. So once you log in, it's going to land you then on this dashboard, which we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this right now, the basics of this, because I want to spend most of our time on how to do this with your SOI. But this is where it's going to land you when you log in, which you can see it will give you what reminders you have, and it's got a reminder for me to call her today. But to get your account set up, you're going to click on your name or your picture here. You're going to go to my website. And I've got a separate class where I'll walk through all of this, so if you want help in doing this later on, I can get you the next time we're going to teach the class and show you. But this is where you are going to be able to manage your website, the content that's on your website. So when you clicked up here on this and went to my website, it's going to land you here, which to see your website, just click view my website and boom, it'll bring it up for you to be able to see. Okay? My recommendation would be for you, and we'll come back and I'll talk about this mobile app in just a little bit, but my recommendation would be just go through this, scroll down through here, and put the information that you want to put in. So, go ahead, Abraham.
Yeah, when you're saying website, like it connects directly to like your CRM if you're using a different CRM to it.
No.
Connect to it, or it'll just be like Central 21.
It's connected to your Zap CRM.
I see.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is just your Zap CRM. Now, you can, get other leads sent to here if you wanted to.
Russ, we all have our, everybody here has one, right?
Everybody has one. Yep. And yours set up is gonna look pretty similar to this. It's just not gonna probably have as much of this content in here. But it's got a basic setup already.
So I have a question. When I set this up on areas served, I put all the areas,
Mhm.
but then on the website it only shows Midvale. Doesn't do anything else.
When you say on the website, it should have all the areas served right there. So we can double check that, but that's where they would be. Alright, so what you're gonna wanna do is just go through here, put in this content. There's a buy a home page, sell a home page, custom pages. Like I say, I'm gonna go kinda fast on this part because that's not really what we're wanting to spend the time on, but I at least want you to understand enough to, you can go through and do it. You can put a YouTube video, you can link it to your social media. This area is served, which is what Bernadette was just talking about. Make sure that you put these in the order and that they are the cities you want. You can have up to 21 of them. The one thing that I do want to point out to you is as you're changing these, to delete them, obviously just click the X. Most of the time when you're going to add one, people will come and click down here and they say, it looks like it didn't do anything, but if you start to type, it will bring up cities there, okay? The My Sold Homes, you can either have that turned on or off. The My Sold Homes is going to be only properties you've sold with Century 21, so if you have not sold any yet with Century 21, you may want to just turn that off until you've sold a few, because otherwise it's going to show up nothing. This Agent Insights is where you can put insights about properties you have seen, and you can do local insights about cities, neighborhoods, or subdivisions, or zip codes as well, which on your website is going to show up down here at the bottom in this local insights section there.
Isn't that a really important spot in this process, Russ?
Yes, but we're not going to talk about it.
Okay. I was so excited to do
But
something.
here's my concern: is if we would turn this whole hour into just getting your account, your website
Gotcha.
set up, and we wanted to get it going on like your SOI. So here's what I would tell you: as good as it is to go through and get some of this set up, even if you'll just do what we're going to talk about on the SOI, it'll work, and it'll work fantastic for your SOI. Okay. All right. So ultimately, it's just scroll through this. Put in the content you want to. Don't worry about content if you don't want to, whatever. Like I said, your site's going to be pretty similar to this as it is without you doing really anything. So just do some of the basics to get it set up, all right? Now, with that said, so now what I want to do is I want to jump into showing you with your SOI and stuff how to manage it, what you want to do. Now, as far as getting your sphere of influence in there, what the company is challenging each of the agents to do is to, by the end of March, get 100 people into some form of a database, whether it's Zap or something else, doesn't matter, but get 100 people from your sphere of influence into a database. Specifically, though, we're going to talk about Zap since that's company provided. The ways you can go about getting the people put in there, there's 3 different ways you can do it. One is you could just come up here and click Add, and do an individual contact, so you can type them in one at a time. You can do add and import contacts, which you can then go download this sample CSV file, put the names of all the people into that CSV, save it, and then come and upload it into here. The other way, which for most people probably is the more preferred way, is you can download the Zap app onto your phone. So whether it's iPhone or a Droid, go and download the Zap app, which is going to look like, let me pull it up and I'll kind of walk around and show everyone. It's this right here. So the color's kind of a blue-green thing, it says Zap.
I got it.
Okay. So the app's going to look like that. And you're going to have to log in just the same way using your 21 Online for that.
Yeah.
Once you download that on the iPhone, so again, you're going to log in using your same username and password for 21 Online. On the iPhone, once you are logged in, there's a plus sign up at the top left that you're just going to hit that plus sign, and you go to import contacts, it's gonna ask for permission to access your contacts in your phone, and then you do that, and then you can just go through and select the ones you want and hit import, and it'll put them right in. Okay? If you have a Droid, what you're gonna wanna do is throw your phone against the wall. Go buy it. No, just
That's the problem. No wonder.
if you have a Droid, what you're going to do is there's just one extra step on the Droid. So on the Droid, you're going to download the app. When you get to here, down at the bottom, you'll see a thing that says contacts. So on the Droid, you've got to touch contacts, and then you'll have a plus sign at the bottom right that you'll hit, and then import contacts. Select them and then import them that way. Make sense? All right, so that's how you're going to get the people into the system, so as I was saying, if you don't have anybody in there and you wanted to get 100 in and you've got 400 or however many contacts in your phone, you could very easily just go through. Unfortunately, you can't do a select all. You've got to select them individually on your phone, but then you're going to hit import and boom, they're imported into Zap at that point. Okay? All right, so I'm going to go back to contacts here. Once you have the contacts in,
I have a question real
Yes,
quick.
go ahead.
If you have your contacts, like let's say in just Excel format, does it need to be a certain format before you can upload it, or will it let you mess with it?
So it just has to be in a CSV format.
Okay.
The ideal would be to use the CSV format from this import right here. To download and use this one would
Okay.
be the ideal. But with that being said, it doesn't matter. You could, as long as it's saved as a CSV, what'll happen is when you choose the file and then click upload, it's going to bring up and have you select what each column is, so you can tell it which column is the first name, which column's last name.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they've added that. Used to be you had to use this file to do it.
Okay.
Now you can use any CSV. You're just going to have to select first name, last name, and all that to
Perfect.
import it.
Thanks.
All right. Yep, you're welcome. All right, so now that the contacts are in here, if you have put them in through your phone, what you're going to want to then do is do a select all right here. Come up here to bulk actions, and you would want to do share website with them. Okay? Once you do that share website, it's going to send them an email letting them know that you've got a website and you've added them to it, blah, blah, blah. And they need to click on a button on that, which is that's what would then basically opt them into your website, if that makes sense. Now, the first time I did that, I came in here, I did bulk actions, share website. It brought up, this is the message that it's going to send to them. This is what the email is going to look like that it sends to them. And as long as they click sign in now, then it will now start to track them basically. If they don't do that, then you'll just have to keep sending it or call them and ask them to click on it to do it. But the first time I did this, I clicked send email on it, and it didn't do anything. So I clicked send email, and it didn't do anything. So I clicked send email, didn't do anything. Clicked send email. Pretty soon, all of a sudden, I got a text from a friend saying, I think your phone has been hacked because I've just got 8 emails from you. So if you click send email and it doesn't do anything, it probably still worked. Although I haven't heard or seen anybody else have an issue with that. That was when it was brand new. So I think they got that bug worked out. But
And that's off your
but it hurt-
iPhone, right?
what?
It's because of your iPhone.
Ouch, yes. Touche. All right, so, but what you will notice is a lot of these down here, notice under the Zap score, these ones, it has very high, high, and then these are all none. I think the reason these are all none is because when I sent that out, I sent it to all these people 8 different times, so they didn't believe that it was real.
So
Yeah.
where was that letter at? We saw your, yeah, the letter.
So
Like,
what
if you
you're-
wanted to send out like a bulk action, like if you wanted to send an email to everybody, or there were those, I saw it once before, but I can't think of where it's
So,
at now.
yeah, bulk actions.
You mean the email?
It's in bulk actions.
Yeah,
the
you
share
just,
website.
you click
Right here's where
everyone
you
you
would do
want to
email.
send, you go bulk action.
And then right here.
Yeah.
Right, but then it has a letter that you can choose from.
Right here's here's the email scripts. Is that what you're
Oh,
asking?
that's where it
Yeah.
was, yep.
Right here,
Select
and then
the
you can
script.
choose what you.
So then they're all there.
Yep.
Quick question.
Go ahead.
Can you actually customize those things?
Can you? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yep. Yeah, so on any of those things that you could go through and customize. So even like this, where I was sharing the website with them, right here, so this is what the email is gonna look like, but this is the text, so I could change this to say anything I want to say. Yeah. Alright, so you're gonna wanna get that shared with them. Then from there, but here's the thing, even if they have not done, you know, like these ones where they haven't done anything with them, it's okay, because I can still do, there's still another step that I can do that will try to entice them to opt in, so to speak, to it, and I'll show you that in just a second. But first I want to go through and show you some of this. So with the ZAP score, what's going to happen is that how the ZAP score works is it's going to track what is happening. So if I hover over this, you can see for Forrest, it shows that he opened the email one time 2 weeks ago. If I come down to this one, it shows that Brandon logged onto my website one time last week and viewed one home details page last week. Now, here's what's interesting with this is, and I'll talk more about this with Brandon here and show you. Brandon is one of those that initially was one of these none. But because of doing what I'm going to show you, he's now opted in, which it took a little bit of probably a few emails before he did it, but he did. And I'll show you what that looks like here in just a second. But I want to I'm going to switch over here real quick and show you guys Clint Robertson's account, because he uses it just probably the best of anybody that I know. Although Wayne, I get a report every week that shows like who the top user was. Last week, Wayne was the top ZAP user.
Nice, Wayne.
No way.
Good job.
How
You-
many times do
You
send-
beat Clint. What?
How many times do you send it out, or what's the length of time in between? Like you send them an email and then you share my website and.
Yeah, hold that thought for a second. I'll come back to it. If I don't, then remind me. But there's one section where I think I'm going to cover that. So okay, so I'm logged in here as Clint Robertson, which Clint closes quite a few deals off of this system. And so I asked him if it was okay if I show it. He said yes. And so anyway, I'm showing you kind of what he has done with it. So you can see right now he's got 5 requests from people about properties in here. But I'm going to jump over to his contacts real quick. Now under his contacts, you'll notice on mine they were showing very high and high. Clint's here is numbered 99. What happens is you can see he's got 265 people in here. I had like 127. But once you have 99 or more people who have opted in, clicked on something basically, it's going to then rank them from 1 to 99. Versus on mine, it was doing very high, high, or whatever because I don't have the 99 opted in. Clint does. Now what's going to happen though is you'll notice on mine it was showing very high, but it was because one of them had looked at an email like 2 weeks ago. I mean, that doesn't seem very high, especially if you come over and you compare this to one of these here on Clint, that this person looked at this, or look at this. They saved 5 homes this week on his site, liked 4 homes on this site, requested 1 showing this week, logged on to his website 11 times this week, and viewed 7 home details pages this week. That's a little bit better than what my very high was. Now here's what happens. The system is going to rank these people in comparison to the rest of your people. So it's comparing what you have, not versus what, like if we were comparing what mine was to Clint's here, mine would be like really low, kind of a thing, you know. But you can see as you hover over, so this one viewed 68 home detail pages this week, logged into his mobile app 7 times this week, viewed 49 home detail pages 4 or more weeks ago, and logged into the mobile app 4 times 4 or more weeks ago. So if we were to scroll through this, you can just see you're going to have kind of that same thing going on with all these people. That's the value of this. Here's the other thing that is so cool. So I'm going to bounce back to mine here real quick. So I've got 127 people in there, and I don't have all of them set up with what I'm going to show you guys, but the cool thing is this Brandon Baird right here, I helped him buy a house a few years ago and really haven't talked to him even since then, which I know in an SOI class that's probably not something I should be saying. But also my focus is training, I'm not trying to sell full time. I haven't really done anything with him but set him up on this system that I told you guys, in my opinion, is the best thing you can do with your SOI. I didn't know he was ranked as very high until yesterday. Now, yesterday I logged in Orem. I was teaching this same class. I logged in And he was yesterday showing at the very top. So the cool thing is Zap automatically, by a default, is going to sort the people based on the Zap score. Now you could change it if you wanted to see it alphabetical. I could click here and it would do that. But I would recommend leaving it this way, because here's what happens is because Brandon went in and has done something, he has shot up to the top now. So think of it as what's going to happen with this as you do what I'm going to show you today. As people get involved and start doing things, the ones who are closer to do something rise to the top, and they'll just show up there as, hey, like this one's probably one you ought to give a little bit more attention to. So in fact, let me just show you with Brandon. So I'm going to click on his contact. So I'm now within his contact. Inside of his contact information here, I don't have his phone number in here for some reason, so it won't let me log a call. But I could send an email to him, or I could add a reminder right here. Okay. Now.
So when you click on more,
Mm-hmm.
it says add a note. What's the difference between adding a note and logging a call?
I think that adding the note is you're just typing a note in there.
It's not maybe synced up with a call.
Yeah, it's not going to show that you made the difference with on a call. Well, let me go back to a different one that has a phone number so I can show you.
Is it adding a note for you to know or for the client to see?
For you. Yeah.
Well, even adding a call, the client doesn't see that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
Let me go to. I'm pretty sure I got my wife's phone number in here. Okay, so if I wanted to log a call here, when I click on that, I could select from a script if I wanted to, and I could even go create one and put it in here. The idea of this one is where I can say what number did I call, which I only have one number, did I reach, yes or no, and then type in my call notes there. So there's not much of a difference, really, but
Well, I'd rather use that than add a note.
yeah. So the other thing that let me show you while we're here was somebody asked, was it Wayne, you that asked about grouping the people? Yeah. So how you would do that is right here is this basic info. You can put in tags. So think of it, or groups, if you wanted to put people in groups. So you can see on my wife, I put her in here as I created a group called Hottie. So she's in that group.
Who else
See who else is in that
Who
group?
else is in that group? Did you put yourself in that group?
Oh, I should. Good
Did
point.
you?
Thanks. I'm going to add myself to it. But so Wayne, this is what you would do. If let's say that I wanted to add one and call it, I don't know, investor.
Well,
You can choose from some of some that are just already in there when you click in here. So here's some suggested ones that you could do, but you could also go and create your own of just, I don't know, give me what would be a group you'd want to have, Wayne?
Waiver.
Okay, waiver. So I could just put in waiver, click add. I don't know because of your, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Okay. So, but now you can see I've created a tag called waiver, and you could just put everybody in that you have, you would add a tag that says waiver.
You could do like A's, B's, and C's.
Yeah, you could rate them as an A, or B, or C, whatever. Now, from that then, let me go back to contacts. If I wanted to sort just based on waiver, then up here I would go to filters. Here's the custom tags, and I can choose from here. I want all the ones that have that waiver, but actually I'll do it so that I can show you guys how. We'll do hotties here.
Just trying to show that she's the only one in
That's
there.
right.
Okay.
And then you can see she's the only one there. She's incubating. All right, does that make sense? So that's how you would do it, Wayne, is I would just say, okay, I want to see all the people that I have on the waiver, and boom, there it's going to show up.
Once they're already in there, am I gonna have to go back individually and put waiver on each one?
yeah.
Yes, unless if you were to create, if you came in and created a tag that was called waiver to begin with, then put them into a spreadsheet. On your spreadsheet, you could select that as one of the tags, and it would automatically load them when you upload them. But once they're in here, there wouldn't be a way to bulk. I don't think you can bulk add them to a. I don't believe you could bulk add to a tag. Let's see. Oh, yeah, you can. So you could select them and then just do tag, and add a tag to all of them. So that would work. All right. So let me come back here to Brandon, so we can get into some of this. So that's where the tags piece was. So as I scroll through here, you can. This is where you can track and put in, birthday, anniversary, all that kind of stuff. Down here is just a little bit more detail on that ZAP score. So if I hover over it, it'll show me how many times they, on this particular one, that they viewed home details page. This one's how many times they logged into the website. Come down here, gives you the average of what they were looking at and where they were looking at it. Down here, so if I actually wanted to see what property he had looked at, and this is going to be important in just a minute for you. But down here I can come to this recently viewed, click on it, and it's going to bring up and show me this is the property that he viewed last week. So 7 days ago he looked at that property. Okay? Now, how that came about is because down here there are campaigns and follow-ups. So under the campaigns, you can see I could add a reminder here. I could also come and do it right here to remind myself to call them or whatever. This listing activity is going to be based upon if you have their property listed, so without it being listed, there's nothing I can really do there. But this is the piece. Now remember I told you that the guy from Top Producer showed up and said, I'm going to give you the best marketing idea and none of you are going to do it. Here's what he recommended, is he said, go contact every one of the people in your SOI, find out from them what area, typically they're where they live, how far away from their house that they want to know what's going on with the market. And then what he said is once a month, send to them in that area the homes that are for sale, the ones that are under contract, and the ones that have sold. And so I started doing that, and I will tell you, it is the best thing you can do with your SOI. Meaning, you're going to have people, if you haven't yet, and I know most of you have, but contacting you of, hey, sign up to send recipe cards, or get this to send to your SOI, or whatever. What's the problem with sending them a recipe card?
They equate you with food.
Yeah, they think of you as the recipe person. Versus when you do this, or what I had done, was sending out, here's the homes that are for sale, here's what's under contract and sold in your area. Now what do they relate to you as?
The expert.
Yeah, you're the expert for their neighborhood. And the other thing that came out of it that I had no idea was going to happen, they assumed I sold all those properties. That I had them, even though they're driving by and seeing another company's sign out front, for whatever reason, they still think I'm the one who listed the property because I sent it to them. And when it sells, they think I sold the property.
Just also looking like you were staying in contact, that you were on their mind.
Top of mind.
Yeah,
You
sure.
know, like you're on their mind and vice versa. They're like, oh, this was cool. And somebody that's not motivated can honestly become motivated for other properties that have been sold.
Yep. Yep.
So I love
Now,
that.
yeah. So now here's the thing. So I was doing that, and I was paying my assistant 40 hours every month to put that together, which is expensive, but I still felt like it was worth it. You don't need to do that. Now, this isn't quite as good, and I'll explain what I mean, but it's good enough is what I would say. Meaning, if you don't have an assistant to pay to do it, and or you don't want to have them spend one solid week of the whole month you're paying them doing it, I would recommend you do this. And that is these home value updates. Now, how this works, so you can see with Brandon, and this is how I got him to engage, even though I had sent the bulk email to him and he didn't engage. Doing this home value update got him to engage. So what you do is this. So you go into the contact, you're going to come down here to home value updates, you're going to click add home value updates. When you click on that, it's going to then allow you to type in an address. Which what I did was then typed in the address of this home that he bought. Once you type in the address, you're just going to click save, and that's it. Now what's going to happen is you can see it's still active here. Now what's going to happen, and I wish we had more control on what I'm about to say, meaning I know you're going to ask the question of do we have to do it that way, and unfortunately the answer is yes, but I will also tell you, having done this now long enough, I still think it's fine. So even though you're going to panic a little bit, just know it's not that big of a deal. What's going to happen is on this home value update, versus when I was doing it with my assistant, I had exact coordinates of like their neighborhood that we were searching. The way this works is it's going to do a search of a 2-mile radius from that address. And it's going to go out 2 miles, but it's only gonna send them the 5 closest homes to them that are for sale. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Okay, so I've done this with all the people in my SOI, and what is so weird is, some of the addresses don't come up, no matter what, so what should I do? Should I just use a neighbor's address, or,
So it's,
like, some
Yes,
of them
possibly
just
you're gonna
don't.
do
Like,
it.
there's like this Prairie
Yeah.
Drive that doesn't come up consistently.
yeah. So let me, a couple of things. So the one thing that I have found on that is trying a different variation of it, meaning like for my home address,
Oh,
I have.
I did,
Okay, good.
I did.
But that's one of the first things to try, because like my home address, my address is 6547 South Pilot Peak Circle, but using the south it won't work. So I have to do 6547 Pilot Peak and then it works.
Right.
Now,
So you gotta try different variations. But similar to what, just this morning, I had that same problem. So I have called into the help desk and they're working on it right now. So what I would recommend doing, when you come across one, call the help desk. Because you could use a neighbor's address. The problem is the report that it sends to them though, puts their address there, so they're more likely to click on it versus if it shows their neighbor's address. So I would say a worst case, I would do a neighbor's address, but I would call, let's say Brandon, and say, hey, for whatever reason our
So
system's
is
having a
that who I
problem.
call the help desk would be Brandon?
No. Brandon's my contact.
Can we call Brandon?
So who's the
Okay.
help desk?
So to get to the help desk, you're gonna click support right here and it gives you the phone
Oh,
number
I
right
see.
here. But that's what, so I did that this morning because, and I don't know what the deal is with it. Meaning like I read something on their forum page that said, well, the home has to have been listed. But I know that's not true because my personal house has never been listed and I was able to put it on there. So I know that's not the case. So
so the house you're talking about is their home,
should be
right?
their home.
Yeah, and I double checked addresses and I double checked like on the county to
Mhm.
make sure.
Yep, same.
I mean, you can mess with the coordinates, but someone just, no matter what,
Some of them just won't,
I couldn't
yeah.
get them to come up.
Right. On those, I would just get that whole list,
Yeah.
and then I would call the help desk and say, these ones are not working. Because
Okay.
what the guy told me today is he said, we may have to do a workaround and we'll put it in for you. So that's what
Okay.
I would do.
How frequently does it send out?
Okay, good. That was the next thing.
Oh.
So what's gonna happen then, so let me get back down there. Okay, the best part of this whole class is, right, as they leave. That's what I said there. And now I'm gonna give you guys all $5 million. All right, so what's gonna happen is then it goes out a 2-mile radius, and then it's gonna pull the 5 closest houses to this address and send it to them. It does it, Tim, once a week.
Weekly?
But
Okay.
that's why but hold on.
Yeah.
Before you get too excited. What happens though is it checks every week, and if they're the same 5, it just won't send one.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it only is gonna send it if there's a change in
There's
those
only
5.
one new property.
If there's one new property, it'll send it. Otherwise, it doesn't send it. So what I have found, and I've had myself set up on this for about 1.5 years now, there are times that I will get it 2 weeks in a row, but usually it seems like it's every 2 to 3 weeks that I get it. Now, that's gonna vary depending on what the 2-mile radius is, meaning if you've got a ton of turnover in that 2-mile radius and the 5 closest to them are changing quite a bit, it's gonna send them a weekly email probably. But if not, it may go once a month or even 6 weeks or something if nothing's changing.
And this is just trying to generate interest in them,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Okay,
the
so
purpose
what-
of this one is twofold for me. One is keeping them informed of what's going on in their neighborhood, but then they're relating it to me, that I'm the expert giving it to them. But the other side of it is, just like with Brandon Baird here, once they start, and I haven't called him yet, I just noticed this yesterday, so I probably will call him today and be like, hey, just how you doing? So I'm not gonna call and be like, hey, I noticed you were looking at a property I could with him because I know him well enough. But some of them, your SOI, you might not wanna do that because that might panic them of like, well, I'm not doing that because I don't want them to know that I'm looking at properties. So for me though, I just think I'll call him just, hey, I was just thinking about you, thought I'd give you a call, see how things are going. Now, if he's thinking about selling or something, he's gonna say, wow, that is so weird, Russ. I just clicked the other day on your website and was looking at a property.
No.
Oh, you're kidding, right? Wow, that's crazy. Like, that's how I would approach it. You can decide how you want to approach it. But for me, once they start clicking though, is giving you an indication, like he hasn't been clicking on properties, and I've been sending it to him for months, but all of a sudden now he clicked on one. Either he's thinking about selling, or at least just curious, oh, I wonder what's going on, how does that house compare to mine? So somebody had a hand, I thought. No?
You answered it.
Okay, cool.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
So on that email they get, does it actually tell them the value, or does it,
Yep.
like their,
The value of what?
of their house,
No.
like projected?
No.
Oh,
It's
it
just
just
the
shows what's,
active
it just
around.
shows what's around.
Yeah, so that's the other thing, that because we're a non-disclosure state, it will not send to them the solds. It's only sending actives to them, which that's where I'm saying this isn't as perfect as if you just did it the other way. But like I said, if you balance out,
Just a curiosity.
yeah. I have had my wife set up on this for a while, and she looks at it every time she gets the email, and she'll make comments to me about, hey, so and so's house, that's way overpriced, and I'm like, yeah, I know. I mean, like it's
Start
just
out with, I'm Mahadi, how are you?
that's what she usually says. All right, so it's going to go weekly as long as there's something that's changed. If nothing's changed, then it won't send that. Okay.
Can it go either to the email or to a text message, or just email?
Just email. Yeah, just email at this point. So now, I did notice when I was searching the forums today, trying to figure out the address thing, that there have been a lot of agents recommending that you be able to say how often you want it sent, which I totally agree with. And so I would recommend for you guys, if you want to see that, do that same thing. Again, come over here to the support, go to the Zap community, and I would recommend you go in and say, hey, you guys go type in, hey, it'd be nice if the home value updates, if we could control how far out and how often it sends. The more people that go in and do that will get that to raise to the top where the developers will work on it. So the developers are putting out new things on this every 2 weeks. So it's just a matter of getting it to the top of the list, and the more of us that do it, the more control they would give us on that piece. Make sense? All right, so we good on that part of the home value updates?
In order to use that function, that the home value
Updates?
updates, do you have to have them already signed in? I mean, you can send them
You gotta opt in.
I've got it in there, now do they have to
No.
accept my invitation?
Nope. You can start to send them this right up. Like I said, Brandon had not clicked on anything until he was still showing as a none, like no interest. But I went and set him up on this first, and as it kept dripping on him, eventually he clicked on one, which is essentially they're now opting in, and it's going to now start tracking them.
So they do have to opt in.
They do have to opt in, but just by clicking on the email is
That
what's
makes
going to
it
do it.
happen, yeah.
So, Tim.
So is it on this, on the site too, where can they unsubscribe to it?
Yep.
Or- And if they do that, then it makes it see you're not able to activate
Yep,
it?
this would be turned off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it tell you that they did that?
See, I've yet to have anybody that I put on it unsubscribe, so I don't, but I have heard, yes, and that you do get a notice that they've unsubscribed. I personally haven't seen it, so.
And is there any way, if you don't have their email address, but is there any way that once they click on something, it prompts them to add their email address?
Well, but how are they gonna get it if they
Well,
don't?
that's why I'm asking, is there any way,
No.
so say you're sending something to them through their phone?
No.
Okay.
Well, yes and no. So actually, that's a good point. Let me actually answer that here. Well, here's one of the things. So I talked about Clint Robertson and that he is probably closing the most of anybody in our company off of the Zap system. One of the things that he does, and I hope he's okay with me saying this, but one of the secrets that he's found with it is if they're under the Zap score, in fact, let me bounce over to him again. His objective with people is to get them using the his app. Remember I talked about up here under the my website,
Heck yeah.
you've got this link here for your mobile app.
Yeah.
What he has found is if he can get them to start using the mobile app, his odds with the person go up dramatically. So what he does is he keeps an eye on this. So did this one have the app? No.
The mobile app is linked with this app?
Yes.
It's together, it's the same, everybody has one, right?
Yep. So you'll notice on this one, logged into his mobile app 7 times this week, but this one doesn't have anything about the mobile app. What he would do then is select this and comes up here and he'll select a bunch of them. It won't let me, whenever I'm proxying, I can see stuff, but it won't let me do anything. And then you would do the share mobile app. That's what he consistently does, is he will go in probably once a month, to answer your question, and recommend to them share the mobile app. Because if he can get them on the mobile app, he has found there's way more likely that he ends up doing a deal with them.
So when you click share mobile app, is it emailing or texting?
It's going to email it to them, but yeah, so that's the other side of it though, is with the people, I would recommend to them, if they're not doing it, to call and tell them, hey, I'm going to text you a link to my mobile app. If you'll click on it, it'll download the app. When they download the app, it looks just like the Century 21 app, but because they use that link, it's tied to you. Meaning if somebody just went into the App Store and searched Century 21, they could get the Century 21 app, but it's not going to be tied to you. Versus if they click on the link and download it, it looks exactly the same, but it's tied to you so that you can track, like what it shows here, logged into the mobile app 7 times this week. So, does that make sense? Okay. All right. One other thing I want to hit with you guys on this. So let me go back. I'm going to go back to me. All right, I'll go there. So here's what you want to do. So the first objective, now, so this would be another thing you could do if with the home value update's not working, is this. But it's still not the ideal. The other option you can do is you can set up new listing alerts. And if I didn't have one set up, there would be a little blue link here that says set one up, and I could click on that. This one I've set up already though for her. But it's also not active, as you can see.
I don't see it in the cell phone version.
Oh yeah, it probably isn't on the cell phone. You probably have to do that one on here. But what you can do is you could go set up new listing alerts for them. The downside to this of setting it up is it's going to send them the properties individually and every time they show up, versus the home value updates is going to be weekly only if there's a change in those 5. But to some extent, I still almost say if you can't get this to work, I would probably set it up this way and just let them know, hey, every time a new property comes on the market, I'm gonna send you an email just so you know what's going on in your area. But so think of it this way. This is what I would typically set up for potential sellers. For potential buyers, I would set up new listing alerts for the area that they're interested in.
Or for active buyers, definitely.
Yeah, for me, on active buyers, I usually just move them to a hot sheet on the MLS, but I mean, it's personal preference. And the only reason I say that is you have more options on the MLS as far as setting up the criteria. So depending on how much you need to narrow it down, would be the only thing. But yeah, you could definitely use current buyers with it as well. And the nice thing is it's tracking them that way. The other thing, just to show you real quick, is you can do follow-up plans. They're constantly working on the ones that are available. Let me just click on it here. So there's 24 plans available, although I created that one. I think that's the only one I've created. So there's 23 plans available. I'm not as impressed with what they have in terms of plans, meaning you can do it, but my opinion is you're better off with your SOI is just put them on the home value updates. Because again, everybody's curious of what's going on in their neighborhood. Like everybody likes to know, like it's very unlikely. I take that back. I did have one person that they didn't unsubscribe, but this is a guy in my neighborhood that I set up on it that did send me an email and said, I didn't authorize you to do this, take me off your list. And I'm like, I know the guy. I'm like, don't treat me like that. Anyway, but so I went in and unsubscribed him, but that's fine. Like he's probably not somebody I'd want to work with anyway then, if you're gonna be that way.
Yeah.
So. Anyway, that's where I would say, so here's, for me, I guess what I would say to you guys is get your people in here, get them set up on the home value updates. If you do run into some of the address ones, again, I would say call it in to the help desk, because they're either going to get it. My hope is we get enough people calling in saying, hey, this address didn't work or whatever, and they'll figure out why it's not working and get that fixed as well. But most of the time it's going to show up. The times when I have seen typically it being more of an issue is somebody from Orem yesterday was trying to do properties in Sanpete County and was having a hard time finding any of them. Like, I think on some of those rural areas, they're not gonna come up as easily. Anyway, questions? All right, take the challenge. If you'll do it and get them set up on that, I promise you, you're gonna have people that all of a sudden start floating to the top, just like Brandon did here for me yesterday, and you'll just be like, oh, perfect. Like, I'm gonna give him a call either later today or tomorrow and just say, hey, just wanna touch base, see how things are going. And if he's thinking of doing something, I promise you, he'll tell me tomorrow.
If you share your website, this link thing with SAP, can people actually go in and sign in? And so basically, they can just share we can share the website instead of just the
Yep.
Century 21 link.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, that's what I would recommend that you do is, yeah, and probably the best thing to do under this My Website is go purchase a domain name. So like I went and bought russorchard.com and then I forwarded this to it. So I could actually just put on my cards or even just tell people, hey, if you want to search properties, go to russorchard.com and it takes them to, this is my Zap site.
Right. Okay.
So, Nick.
In putting all of this information into Zap throughout the process of the transaction, it looks like the Zap score is how close you're getting to a deal. Does all of this transition, would all that contact information transition into .loops? Or,
Oh, good question.
Yeah.
So yes, maybe not all of it, but within
That which
your
we-
contact here, if you so like with Forrest, if I was going to create a transaction,
Okay.
I can come here and scroll down to .loop and click loop it, and it will now create the loop and put his information in there.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
And that transitions over to green sheets or whatever we call them here.
I don't know what green sheets are.
Commission report.
Ah!
That's the
Oh,
commission, yeah.
okay.
That's it, yeah.
I figured somebody would know.
Yeah.
Basically color format.
Gotcha. Yeah, that is a newer feature that they've added now, is to where you can get, and if for some reason yours is not showing up, I think you have to come up here to the Zap store. I think it automatically does it, but if not, up here you can link your Gmail, so you could actually get all your email right in here.
DocuSign.
You can connect it to all of these things as well. So. Yeah,
So-
.loop, you can see I have it live here. So if yours is not automatically, I think it automatically happens, but if not, just come into Zap Store and you can connect it.
So that's another question I have. I send out bulk emails and it has an email that's supposed to forward to the email I'm using. I've had clients say, hey, I've responded to your email and it's not going through.
But you have under your, up here, made sure that I think it's under your, is this the right spot? No, that's not.
Yeah, and so now on all my emails, I just say, if you need to email me, email to this address, a direct response will not work.
Yeah, just double check under your account, or lead account settings that your email address is right here. But since we're here, if you were getting leads from some other system, a Zillow or whatever, this would be the routing email address you'd want to give to have those leads dropped right into your Zap account as well. Anyway.
Thanks, Russ.
Cool. Okay. Thanks for being here.
Awesome.
Wow, you guys didn't save much for the end.
So,
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Yes.
can we log into my account and check the email?
Yeah.
Good to see you, bro.